Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, I have a subscriber experience, a subscriber interview, one that you will not forget. His experience is absolutely mind-blowing. Before we jump into it, though, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? So, like I said, the subscriber interview where he shares his experience is truly a terrifying event. Also, I just want to say that the gentleman is a character. He is just super unique. And to me, after reading his experience first and foremost, and then hearing it from him and his uniqueness as a person, I was just like, this is an insane experience. And I really felt for the guy going through his experience at the time. So let's get into it. Scarborough, how are you tonight?
Hi, Jeff. How you doing? I'm doing great. How's everyone out there? Right on. So how you doing?
I'm doing well. So
all right.
I had the opportunity to share your encounter. Would you like to share it with us in your words?
I can start it off. That's not a problem. You know. Right. Okay. You know, I was back then, like I said in my story, I was hospitalized for 12 days. I blew out my duodenal ulcer there, and I did not have an operation like I read in some of the comments. I really appreciated all the comments and stuff. It was fantastic, and thank you everyone. But no, I did not have an operation, but I did tear my esophagus when I projectile vomited and filled the sink full of all my guts and blood and whatever, stomach acid, which I required a blood transfusion. I had a blood transfusion for losing all my blood, a lot of blood there in that. So I wanted to get that straightened out first. And I was 6 feet tall, 250 pounds, solid muscle, like from working out since I was a teenager, some martial arts, stuff like that. Okay, so that played a part on why I kept going back for the encounter, during the encounter. So, like I said, once I got out of the hospital, and I was in for 12 days, so I went to stay with my friend there out in Oakville, Ontario. Right, so like I said, riding along, and I was in extreme pain, right? Tying my shoes the first couple of days was impossible, okay? So anything like that, any kind of function, sitting down was excruciating. So let's just go straight down now. Like, I traveled along the same route every day. It was a straight path, one road right to the quarry, right? No turns, that just till I got to the roadway and the pathway. Okay, had a ridge on one side, like at least 20 feet high, and then as it tapered out, it went up higher. it tapered down to about 20 feet at the end, but it was up about 30, 40 feet at the start of the ridge, at least. So, and it was a narrow pathway. It was blocked off on both sides, and it was about 200 feet at least of, like I said, the rocks, the not pebbles, but boulders, mini-sized boulders, rocks, size of grapefruits, from grapefruits down to, tennis ball size, packed solid, like, about 6 inches deep. You had to walk. You could not ride a bike. So that, no matter what, even you had to walk it in and walk out. It was like the gauntlet. You felt like trapped. So, and it was like every day. So the first day, like I said, that Sunday was interesting. I had the sixth sense just going crazy on me, that I was going to experience something. I didn't know what it was going to be, but it was incredible how powerful your sixth sense could be. And that, let's see, when I was in the car, I was sitting in the back seat of my friend's car, and I looked down that pathway, down the roadway to the pathway where the pathway started, and it just like, I had like, just a sort of like a vision of something happening, but I wasn't clear at the time, so it was just like, I knew something was going to happen to me. I just didn't know what. Sort of like a deja vu, sort of, or something like that, intuition, whatever you want to call it. I just knew something was going to happen. I've had multiple experiences over my lifetime. Hopefully we can, hear some more of them down the road on Just Channel here, right? Okay, so then that first day, Monday, I started traveling. When I get to the park, like I said, the feeling was really low that day. I felt relieved. So as I traveled around the course, like I seen those two guys in the left side section, right? I think I needed to make a correction too. Was as I came in off the pathway, right? There was a clearing, was right in the middle, right? Straight ahead was Lake Ontario, right? To the right of me was the easy course, a mountain bike trail. To the left of me was a difficult course where the creature was, the werewolf, okay, was stationed back there. Whether he was living there or not, I'm not sure, but that's where I seen him every time, was in that section, okay? I never seen him in the easy section, right, or up on the cliff. I seen movement. Now, I said in the original story there that the cliff was to the left. It was actually behind the easy section on the right side. So when I came in, it was to my far right and back, in back of me, and it was also part of the ridge for the rocky pathway. So, and I did see movement or something, but just for like how you see out of the corner of your eye, you catch a glimpse of movement or something, but I never ever seen. I scoured the cliff several times looking for a cave, a hole, something. I wasn't quite sure. I didn't have binoculars, so it was like almost like about 500 feet tall, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big cliff. I pictured my mom's apartment condo there about 200 feet tall. So I said that's got to be at least twice the height. Okay, so it was a big cliff, and I've tried looking this up on Google Earth, and there's always been a block. Like I could never find. It's been blocked. Couldn't access. So, and I've been trying for like 10 years to get something, and I could never ever get through.
Right.
Now I think that was like 23 years ago. I think since then there's been construction. I haven't gone back there since the last day of the encounter. Right. So for whatever reasons, I've had vehicles to travel and stuff, but just I guess you don't fake twice.
Right.
You don't take a chance. I just, whatever happened that day, I did not want to chance it again. I don't know why, but I did not even, I was too scared to go back.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, to just, you know, I believe in karma and stuff and all that, you know, whatever people believe in, you just don't
tempt fate.
Luck plate of, you know, your guardian, whatever. You don't go against that.
Right.
Somehow, you know, I was lucky to get out of that, so I didn't want to chance that ever again there.
So Monday, you go back and
right. Monday I go back. Right. It was two guys who said they helped build the course. You know, that was the only day I seen them there. I never seen them again there. Right. We're, you know, right in the difficult section in that, but there was no creature there. But like I said, as soon as they left, I had crazy eyes on me. You know, at first, so I'll start like, you know, like from one section, from the cliff, and also from the wood. And if anything had tried to move, where I was in the clearing, you couldn't get past me. Where I was sitting down, or not sitting, just on my bike there, standing, right, leaning on the bike, kickstand, just leaning, but standing. I could not even sit. It was hardly, like, even on my bike it hurt. Mostly I was just standing on the pedals a lot of times.
Right.
So like I said, I sensed something from the left side with a difficult section. After those guys left, eyes on me, and then in crazy eyes on me also from the up on the cliff. So I was starting to think there might be two. Like I said, you couldn't get past me. Like, you know, like you couldn't. It was impossible to get either from one way or the other. I would have had to seen you. Okay. So I believe there might have been two entities, possibly a male and a female, or if that was fast enough, it could have got around. And, you know, I did have my back turned, so you never know. So, like on the second day, where I said where the creature was making a beeline across the rocky shoreline, right? And that had, you know, and it was full out 20 miles an hour on rocks, right? Like, you know, you picture yourself running on a rocky shoreline, you're going to trip and fall or something, right? Like, you know, they weren't as the rocky shoreline wasn't as deep, like as the pathway. The pathway was twice as deep, full of rocks, right? So, but it was still the way it ran lurching forward, right? Like with its arms right down by its side, right? They weren't even swinging. They were just sort of hanging there, right? It was like weird how it ran. It ran like, and I mean, like the head was actually like leaning right forward, like, you know,
like it was top heavy.
Pardon me?
Like it was top heavy.
Yeah, top heavy, like that. Yes, and it was lanky. Right? Like I said, at first I thought it was a derelict or some kind of rummy, you know, person, you know, with rough disheveled clothing or something like that, right?
Right.
Till, like I said, like I was hunched over my bike tying my shoe. Right? I had the pedal, my left shoe, the pedal, I had brought the pedal up to the top, so I didn't have to reach down to the ground. So I was hunched over. That was after my front wheel had gone off that log, and I buckled over in pain. While I was down there, I seen my shoe was untied, so I decided, I might as well take care of this. So that's when my alarm bell started going off in me, and that's when I sensed, wow, something's coming, and my intuition, sixth sense, boom, I pointed right towards that shoreline, you know, like radar, right? Boom, I was right on it, and I caught it off guard. I think it was trying to like, you know, it was like maybe about 50 feet between the two sections, the clearing, roughly, right? It was trying to clear, right, to get behind me and to the easy section. And I caught him off guard because when I stood up after and looked right dead in its eyes, it was like, whoa, like it didn't quite put the brakes on, but all of a sudden, whoa, and it veered off. All of a sudden, from going in a straight path, all of a sudden it went into a complete 180-degree turn. Like, I mean, a complete turn, not just whatever. It was weird, like half a clock face, you know? Right. That was weird. Yeah, it was going straight across the shoreline to try and clear that short gap between the two sections, right, and get behind me. You didn't think whatever. I was watching, or I don't think it knew. It just, like I said, when my wheel went off the log, I was making all kinds of like a wounded animal noises, right? Yeah. So I must have been ringing the dinner bell for this thing.
Yeah, he was trying to flank you.
Pardon me?
He was trying to flank you, like flank you.
Yeah. That's what he was trying to do. Go flank behind me there. Yes, right. And but it must have sensed. Like I said, it came out of nowhere. Like, I couldn't see past like maybe 10 feet past the corner of the shoreline. The woods there went right up, almost like maybe 10 feet from to the water, right? 10 feet away. It had the rocky shoreline there, right? So, and it was all rocks. There was no sand. It was all rocks. Right. So, and it ran on those rocks full out. Okay, there was like no gaps of sand, nothing. It was just solid rock bed. Okay, but not as big. Like more like less than fist size, more like a golf ball size, and maybe and up to like tennis ball size rocks. Right. But it was completely covered, and for that to do that, running like that full out on those rocks, it was incredible. Yeah. Like, I don't know how fast it could run, but I was impressed. I thought,
Absolutely.
Pardon me?
Absolutely. I mean, he's
yeah, it was. I couldn't do that. No way.
Yeah, there must have been some sort of angle, and it was uneven ground to travel at such a speed.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It was determined to get across.
When he veered, so he veered like 180 degrees. Was there any like falter in his movement, or was it just a smooth veer? Like
it was just that's what was incredible. It was like you said, it was a smooth action, right? Right. It wasn't like it was still like smooth as butter. Okay. That's what freaked me out. It didn't stagger or nothing or sway or like swagger from side to side. It just all of a sudden like. It went from like full out to it slowed down a little bit. So right compared to I guess the what do you call it? The determination to clear that clearing without me seeing it. The gig was up. Right. So it still was traveling, but only about three-quarters as fast as it was going. Right. And it veered off. Right. So I did get a bit of, I got the feeling, but it was like no problem for it to do that. Like, but now it's running on grass and whatever, right? And that, right? The rocks were only like a short, like 10, no more than 10 feet, shoreline, and the rest was like grass and park trees and, and all that. So yeah, but it was going right across, straight across the shoreline. Yep. Like I said. So
after when it veered, then what happened? You left. Did you leave? Did you instantly?
No. I was right there. I watched it. Okay. Where I was sitting there, like where I tied my shoe and where I'd gone off the log. I stayed there for like 10 minutes at least. 10, 15 minutes watching this thing. Like I said, it veered off and then went into the there was like in the difficult section there was like two options. trails. You could go around, which I couldn't do that anymore. I did the first time before it could get there, before that creature showed up, the werewolf showed up, right? But there was what do you call it? You could do a complete circle around, you know what I mean? And so when you got to the difficult section, you could veer off, take a secondary trail and go like a more difficult section, and whatever obstacles and things they had built, those guys, right? And there was a small clearing in the back where this thing had veered off right into that. So obviously it knew it was there. It had been there before to veer off into that section. It was like a small, about a 6-foot wide section, about 20 feet long, right, of clearing in the back tree line, right at the back of the tree line there in the difficult section. That's where it stayed, right? And so it obviously had gone there before because they knew exactly where to veer off. Right. Right? It wasn't like searching for anything, hiding spot or anything. It went right into that spot. Like plan B, plan A didn't work, so we're taking plan B. Okay. and it just and I sat there, I was standing, with the bike between my legs, watching this thing. I said, what is this thing? What is, as it, okay, the second thing was, when it made the 180-degree turn, right? The radius turn, I got to see its, more detail, the way it came in towards me, then pulled away from me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
As it made the turn, yeah, sort of like.
Can you explain the detail when you said
midway mark? Yeah, it was the closest to me, then veered off into. So I guess it was. I was looking right at it. It was looking at me as it made this turn. It was funny because as it was making the turn, it was able to look right at me.
Right.
Right. So and I guess he could decide whether to make a beeline for me or veer off into the back tree line, So,
Scarborough, when you saw it, can you give us a description of what you saw? And also remember, I only have 40 minutes, so we got about 20 more minutes to fill this in. But can you give us a description of what you saw, how it looked and?
Right. Like I said, when it was like a goldy brown. I thought it was yellow. It was more goldy brown, lower and white up top. Like I said, it looked like clothes, right, at first, and the face was lighter brown, right. But I could see the swept back face, sort of like a tapered face, and that. Right? Like you see on some of those pit bulls, how they have those tapered faces?
Yeah, like an Akita. Right? Like an Akita face, kind of.
A cheetah, that's it. Like a cheetah. Not a hyena, but a cheetah. It was actually really streamlined, right? And had a flat nose, flat face, sort of. But it was streamlined. And the ears were really long and pointed back, but on the sides, right? And the arms were, like I said, were really down, right down to the knees. Right, hanging down with whitish, like off-white sort of. I could see that from the sun, whatever that day, whatever, and the points. I seen whatever, right? They were nails. They weren't claws. They were nails, right?
Okay.
With fingers, right? And the feet. I didn't get a good look at the feet because they were moving so fast, right? But I did, whatever, it was covered fur, short, thick, thick, shaggy fur. I thought it was like I said, clothes. It wasn't long. It was not long hair, so it was short, and the eyes were almond shaped, but like I said, like cheetah sort of style. It was swept back, and it just it didn't have much of an expression. Okay, not hardly any expression on their face. It was just almost like a blank stare, sort of But it was but it was whatever. In that, so it did that. It paced around, whatever, this and that for a little while, back and forth, looking down, like it was looking for something, like it lost something. I guess it was all a ruse to fool me or confuse me. Like it was like, like, because I caught it in the act of coming towards me, so I guess it needed a ruse to try and fool me that it wasn't actually coming for me.
Right.
So, right, and that took me a lot of years to figure that part out. I was baffled on why it did that maneuver, right? So, so then, so like I said, it even picked up a bag. I don't know where it found the shopping bag, but it had a bag and it was holding it in its right hand, right? Just down by its side, right side. Whether it was to hide something or like so I couldn't see or whatever, I don't know. But I was watching it for a while. Like, I'd stop and watch this thing on and off, right? Just trying to figure out what it was. I could not tell what it was at that day. And it made no noises. Like, it wasn't panting. It wasn't doing this or that. It was really silent, when, even though it ran full, like, it was running at quite a distance.
Right.
Like, at a higher up speed, top speed. I don't know how fast it could run. I believe it could run even faster than that. If it could do 20 miles an hour on the rocks, it must be able to go twice as fast, I say. That's maybe how it could sneak up behind me. Right. So to get up on the cliff so then that was whatever, Tuesday, like I said, that was Monday, then Tuesday, Tuesday was the, hold on, one second. Tuesday, it was, just, Monday was, the bikes. Tuesday, that was Tuesday. Yep. Wednesday, so the back tree line was about, where it was stationed was, I think, close to about 200 feet, and it had moved up to about 90 feet on the Wednesday, okay? And was positioned behind the bush. And I had stopped to look at every time I got to the difficult section to look at it. It was crouched behind the shrub, the bush. It was, at all times, it would not let me see its arms and legs. And I could only see its upper torso, like top of its shoulders and neck. The neck was short, and the head. It always had its head sticking out. It did not try to hide its head, okay? But it always kept its arms and hands hidden from me and its body. And it wasn't like crouched right down. It was like semi-crouched, like, because it was at least, the head was like, it was peering about 4 feet, at least 4 feet above this, the bush had chosen, shrub. The head was at least 4 feet above the ground, okay, peering out at me. At no time did it try to hide that head of his, okay, every single time. But both times, every time I came around, I tried desperately. I looked to the side, this, that. I could never, ever see its arms or legs from that close distance. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It always kept it hidden from me, even though it wasn't a solid bush. It was just managed to keep it close together. It never had a body part flay out, here or there that I could get a glance. I was trying to desperately see what kind of feet it had. I could never, ever do that, right? From the first day. I was mostly, when it came in at me, it was coming in, I mostly centered on the face in that. Well, what the heck is that, right? I wasn't staring down at the feet. Even though I did look down at the ground and stuff, but it was moving so fast, it was just like almost like a blur to me, but I did, like I said, I tried desperately after to see those hands again. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Those hands, those nails, whatever it was. And he would not let me have a boo, right? Even though it wasn't a solid bush, it wasn't a solid wall. It was gaps in there. I could not, for the life of me, it was like, because its color it blended in together. Its arms, its legs, everything. The colors blended in. That gold brown color. So, and with white here and there, especially white on the chest, it was blending in, right? And the head was, like I said, a lighter brown color, and small teeth. There was no big teeth sticking out. It has small teeth, just points sticking out of its mouth, and that jaw, snout, whatever you want to call it, right? And I never seen no big honking sizers there. Just little teeth, sort of.
Okay.
Little razor sharp. They look like razor sharp teeth, though, but just little points sticking out of its mouth. That's it. Okay. And so next. Okay, that was Wednesday at 90 feet. I said I stopped there a couple times, and each time, desperately trying to get a look, right, to see what I'm dealing with here. What is this thing? Does it have paws? Does it have hands? I've seen hands, fingers, but I wanted to see a closer look, at those
right.
body parts, right? Because I was fascinated how it had those long arms down with it, just draped down by its side as it ran, like Lurch, it ran like Lurch, sort of like from the Addams Family, if anyone's familiar with that show,
yep.
So that's what it reminded me of. And like I said, I was like, twice the size of it in width, like my size was twice as width. This was like lanky, tall and lanky, like, I think that made a difference. It was still, it considered me a big dude, though, even though I was ailing, and it still was doubting, strength-wise, if it could take me, or it was looking for an advantage, I guess,
Right.
That's why it came in closer. It was looking for an advantage. Like when I stood up that day, when I was hunched over the bike time I shoot, and looked straight at it, it was like a big shock to it. Like it didn't think it didn't realize I was such a big guy,
Right.
And so yeah, it was. I think it was looking for an advantage, like trying to figure out an advantage to which way, how to come in at me,
Yep.
right? And that's why then the next day, Thursday, it moved even closer in towards me, 30 feet. It was no more than 30 feet away. And same thing. Same sort of, I couldn't believe it. I said, what's my luck? It's got the same kind of shrub, same height, I guess, in these woods, right? Same thing, 4 feet again, right? And hunched over, right? And looking, and this time I could see more of its right hand side of it. And I seen part of its arm, and it had crouched, but I could still not see the thing, its hands and feet again. It purposely kept them hidden. And I do remember now when I did sort of like stick my head over to the left a bit, like way out a bit more to get a better look. It pulled them in even closer to its body. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, to camouflage
right?
itself. Yeah.
Right? It was sitting a bit looser, right? Like hunched over, and it did. It pulled itself tighter in. Its body parts. It tightened up its legs and its arms tighter to its body when I was trying to figure out that stuff, So no dog would do that, Only like Luke said, it had human calculating behavior,
Yeah.
If that was a dog that like more like dog, it wouldn't be trying to hide its body parts from me. So that I remember that part, which I didn't mention at the time, and that was important because I was desperately trying to figure out, what is this thing? In case it comes at me, and I was trying to figure out what's it going to attack me, how or whatever. Is it getting ready to spring at me? All that stuff. So yeah, so this is like less than 30 feet max, right? Even less, I'm trying to picture here. It could even be less than 30 feet, 25 to 30 feet, somewhere in between there. And then, so when on my second pass, right, that's when I noticed, like I said, when I put my feet down on the ground, and that freaked me out when I seen all my footprints over the several days there. I had stopped in the exact same spot each time, and it was in a direct line. Right, and all my footprints were. I didn't realize I had stopped in the exact spot every time, and so it was lining me up, right, in that for whatever to attack me.
Yeah.
So, right? That freaked me out the most, was seeing all my footprints. There was not one set, like just 4 or 5 feet further away. Every single set of my footprints were all right in a 2-foot radius, right around me, right there. And it was crazy. I said it was like a beeline, right from the back from 200 to 30 from 200 to 90 to 30 feet. Everything lined up. And so that day, right, was when, like I said, previously I had been attacked by a German Shepherd in my own house, right, at close range, within 5 feet of me, right, and I had looked in the eyes, and I had been attacked. Like a roommate had gotten a vicious police dog. Yep. Right, and so I had looked at her right in the eyes, and I didn't back down because I was too young and crazy at the time, full of, piss and vinegar, and said, F you, this is my house. So confronted, right, I seen the glint in that, and the dog's eye, before it got ready, sprung at me to bite me in that, right, lunge at me. So I was sensing the same thing that day. The curiosity had disappeared from its face, and it was getting ready to attack. When I seen that look in its eyes, yep. I knew that's when I slid the bike from past my legs and pulled it beside me to use it as a shield in case I needed to swing it or hold it up as a shield against those long arms with those deadly nails on it, right? And then that's when it started to snarl and growl, right? It had never made any noise, whether it was in the back or wherever. Every time I seen it, I never heard a single noise from this thing. This is the only time. As soon as I had put that bike beside me and realized it knew the gig was up, that's when it started snarling and growling at me. And when it opened its mouth, and like I said, the same thing, it had just a bunch of little small teeth, sharp teeth. They didn't have no big, 2-inch teeth. They were no more than, about an inch or two long, but 2 inches max, with like an inch sticking past its, gum line, or jaw, what do you call that, lips or whatever on the face.
The jowls?
The snout, whatever. Yeah, just little sharp teeth, right? There was no big badass teeth on this thing. So a couple of people mentioned it might have been a juvenile or whatever.
Right.
I think it possibly was, right? Like, like a teenager or something, not quite an adult.
Yeah.
Or, but it was a teenager. Like I said, it was about, considering it was taller than me and it was hunched over, so I estimate about 6'2" at least, with and the head was at least a foot forward from the body as it ran, and that. And like I said, it was hard to get. Let's see. Every time it ran or whatever, even when it was walking, pacing back and forth, it walked with its arms down to the side. The head was always lurching forward, always. Like
Scarborough, we're kind of running out of time. You want to get back to where you now? It's snarling at you. It's snarling at you. You got your bike. What happens after that point when you put your bike between you and it?
I walked slowly, whatever, with my bike. I kept my eye dead on it, right, till I hit that curve, right, and it was growling and snarling, right. Not very loud, but loud enough. Yeah. I was listening to it as I'm going around the corner. I could hear it, and then I lost sight of it. And then within about 20 seconds, not even 15 seconds, I got hit with this massive wave of infrasound, wolf howl, right? Massive, right? Like, in that. And I'm like, how the heck did this thing get around me that fast? Like, it was only like less than 15 seconds. As soon as I hit that clearing, I got hit with this infrasound. That's why like I said, I only lost sight of it for about 10 seconds the most before I got hit with the infrasound as I made it into the clearing. And the pathway was like, like 10, 20 feet in front of me. I got hit by this massive wave of infrasound it felt like it was coming from up top by the cliff or something, right? And I couldn't tell, but it was just so loud, man. It was like incredible out in this section, like open section with nowhere for it to reverb off of other than my body. The Lake Ontario was behind me and that, so it would have just carried further. And these guys were coming, these two guys were coming down the pathway when they heard it too, and this pathway had walls and stuff, and for them to be able to hear up that pathway, and then they asked me, was that a wolf howl? And I answered both of them, yes and yes. Before they started walking, and said okay, and they looked nervous. They made it about 20, 30, 40 feet, about 40 feet past me, 30, 40 feet, when it got hit by a second wave of a wolf howl there, and just once again, boom. But they got the brunt of it. These guys, it hit me, but I think it came from up above the ridge, because it came down. It felt like it came down from an angle from up above us, and that. But look, these guys were absolutely white as a ghost, man. Like they were. Like I think they crapped themselves right down the spot,
right.
And they're begging me, please, wait up, stop. They tell me to stop. There's danger at hand. They're telling me to wait there for them, right? They literally begged me to stop and not move. Don't move. Just wait right there for us. Wait right there. I didn't understand that. So whatever. And like I said, so I waited for them. They said thank me. Whatever. They wanted. I guess they felt safer with a big guy beside them, or whatever. So boom, boom, boom. And but as we walked, and I kept saying 5 times it crossed my mind that these guys were gonna push me fucking down, so and like use me as so they can escape with their lives or whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right? That crossed my mind 5 times. All right. As I kept looking up at the ridge back, I kept looking back up at the ridge and behind us on the pathway, making sure that there's nothing coming towards us. Right? Or whatever. I thought he was going to come running off that ridge and jump us or something, leap off that ridge and attack or something. Yeah, that's all right, basically right now.
That's insane.
You got that?
Those guys just walked into that, and that is...
Yeah, they got the brunt of that somehow. But it was hard to tell where it actually came from, if it came from behind us or above us, but they got hit.
The way you explained it, there's walls, so it's like echoing where you guys were and just bouncing, and you're in a quarry, so you've got the lake on one side of you, so it's just bouncing around on these walls. That's friggin' insane. Yeah, I really think it was a juvenile. And I mean, we and you had talked for a little bit. I really think it was setting you up, and it, like you just said, the curiosity was over, and
it dissipated completely. It was ready. It was coming to attack, but it was still uncertain. It had that's why when people mention it might have been a juvenile, I think. It didn't have enough experience, I think,
Right.
It wasn't a full-blown, 8-9 foot, no, it was like, it looked like a teenager or a young adult. It was unsure of itself.
It was completely unsure of itself.
Yeah, it didn't have the experience, I think, to take to go in for the kill or whatever.
Yep.
Maybe it was attacking smaller game, but like I said, it sensed me as a wounded animal because of my recent conditions, their hospitalization and that. And I was emitting lots of noises, like painful noises and stuff everywhere in that, during that course there, every time I hit a bump in that. So I was like a walking wounded animal, man.
Right.
So, and I didn't see, that took me like almost 20 years to figure out. I couldn't figure out why it came for me, and it was because I was emitting wounded animal noises. I think it's like ringing the dinner bell.
All right, that was an amazing terrifying encounter. We're kind of out of time. We're going to have Scarborough on again. Thank you for coming on the channel. Scarborough has his own channel called Scarborough Sasquatch Station. I'll put a link in the description below. Give it a check out. Scarborough, you want to say goodnight to everybody?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. And please check out my channel. I got interesting stuff. The Scarborough Howler deals with werewolf-type howling just outside my place. It's really interesting. Very loud vocals. Check it out, my friend. Plus, interesting videos up your alley. There, all kinds of interesting stuff. Right on. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, brother.
Well, there you have it, folks. And like I said, Scarborough is a character. Super nice guy, but definitely a character. His experience is truly terrifying. Can you just imagine recouping, being in pain, and having to deal with an apex predator in a very remote location, not being 100%. Like, it's just terrifying. I couldn't imagine dealing with one of these creatures at 100%, let alone 50%, 60%. I mean, he was definitely recouping and in severe pain during this experience. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you, and I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. After all, it is your support that keeps this channel growing and going, and what gives folks like all of us a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect we all deserve. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.